we'll move on to actually creating our first app to just explore Android Studio. So first, we'll have to go to Android Studio that we just installed. Then we can create a new project, select basic views activity so we have some bare bones in there, and just like start exploring some fundamental parts of developing an Android Studio. Click next. We'll set the name for the project. For this project, we'll create a random number generator. So we can call it that, or you can call it whatever you want. Just make sure you know where it's located. Make sure you select the correct save location. Package name, I wouldn't really bother with it for this app. And language, make sure to select Java because we'll be coding in Java. And everything else you should keep the same. Just make sure you select calling DSL. It's recommended. Then we can finish. And it may take up some time to load everything. Now that it's loaded up, let's go over some important parts of the project. So we don't really care about manifests. We can go to Java. So here we'll have all our code. So we can go here. Here are the tests. We won't really bother about the tests for this tutorial. And let's go first fragment. So what are fragments? Let me actually go to rest. So fragments are basically the areas that are being drawn onto the screen. So if we go to layout, you can see fragment first, right? Here we can just select 3 different views. This will only show the actual image. This one will split the image and code. This one will just show the code. It's pretty straightforward. So this is the actual XML code, the markup code for the layout. So here you can just see like everything's being drawn here. We can see the button is right here. And then if we go to the view, to the design, we can see the button right there, right? Let me do a split view. Text view is basically just like a text box. It's right here, right? We're gonna delete all of that because we'll be creating everything from scratch. Yeah. Maybe, yeah, let's delete everything. Actually, maybe we can keep the button. We'll keep the button just because we'll need it in the future. You can keep the button here. We'll make sure that this error is solved later on. So yeah, this is basically fragment for this, but we have another fragment as well. So let's go to fragment second. Basically a fragment that was given to us as a template. If you select basic view when you create a new project, you can again go to the code and see it's pretty much the same. You can again delete the parts that we won't need. I'll delete text view, but I'll still keep the button. Yeah, right now all the design, all the views, everything will be in the layout in res folder. You see fragment first, fragment second. All the code, like all the logic of the actual app is going to be in this folder. So we can see first fragment, right? Everything related to first fragment is going to be on here. Same with second fragment. Every logic of second fragment is going to be right here. So that's all for the basics. Let's move on and actually create the first fragment. So we want random number generator, right? And we want it to look something like, for this tutorial, it's just going to be, we'll just have a text greeting the user. Then we'll have a button saying start. And we can press start, go to the next page, and then there'll just be one button. And every time we click on that number, it's going to generate a random number, let's say in the range of 1 to 100. So that's the basic idea of the app they want to make. So let's go ahead and actually make the design. So we'll go to fragment first. You can do the split view just to see all the changes that we're making. So far it's looking like this. We just have a button, say next. We'll fix this error in a second. Let's just fix up new things. So first, let's just change the string name to, let's say, add string start. But right now it's going to give us an error because it doesn't know what add string start is. If you start with something with an at, it's going to try and find the address here. So we can find that in here. So let's go. It should be in, let's open all the, it should be in values. You can see strings, right? We can go to that XML and then we can add our string. This is very helpful because throughout the development process, what you want to be displayed on the button or like any kind of text is going to be changing. So it's better to keep everything organized. So let's say start. And for now, I'm just going to say start. Well, let's do something like start application. Start application. Right? So let's go back to fragment first. And now you can see it doesn't display add string start. It displays what actually is in there. So now we got that done. First of all, to fix this error, we need to like figure out some more constraints. Constraints are basically what telling the app where to place every element. Like where do I place the button? Where should be constrained? Right now it has to be constrained from the template code, we know that it has to be constrained by some text view, right? We won't have a text view, but thankfully we don't have that initial text view. But we'll add another text view that'll just say welcome to the random generator app, right? So let's add that. We'll add that from scratch. We'll just like say text view. It's actually gonna put all this other stuff here for you. We'll select enclose it. So let's put enclosing symbols, which is just backslash and angle bracket. So the width will be practically the same as the bottom one, just wrap content. Same with height, wrap content. Also, let's give it an ID. So we'll call it practically the same, so we don't have to like write new code. Just like let's keep reusing it. So if you want to write an ID, you just do this. Have to do at plus ID. So add another ID, and just name it text view first. You can add it whatever you want. It just for this particular case, I'm gonna add text view first, so that we don't have to rewrite anything from here. Let's add something else. Let's add a margin to the top because right now we can see it goes outside of the view. So I'll do Android layout margin top. Let's eyeball it. Let's do this. Okay, it's not constrained. Let me eyeball it to about 50 dp. Let's move on. Let's also add some constraints, right? We can basically copy the constraints from the button. We'll just copy these constraints, paste them in here, but we'll just have to change the top off because it cannot be constrained by the top of itself because it doesn't make sense, right? So at the top, will be constrained by the button first. To the bottom of, so the button's top is going to be the bottom of text view. And now, as you can see, our text view is up there and button is right below it. So it's going to look better once we actually add the text. Let's actually add the text, right? We want to see, we want to be displayed. Text is going to be, I'm not going to add it to the string XML because I already showed you how to do it. So let's just write welcome to random app generator. Let's see. Okay, let's change the font. Android font family. And you can see the collection of different fonts here. You can also go to the documentation and see what other fonts they have and see how to install your own fonts if you would like to do so. Let's change the text size and text color. So I want the text size to be Android text size. Let's do 40 SB. Looks good, right? But for some reason it's not really constrained. So there's been a problem with some constraints. So I'm trying to fix it right now. Let's just do it from the beginning, right? So we'll go app layout constraint bottom to top off parent. Then let's do layout constraint end to end of parent. Then app layout constraint start to start off parent and app layout constraint, which is going to be our final thing. Constraint top to bottom off. This one ID text view first. Now this will work. So basically saying constraint the top of the button to the bottom of the text and everything else to the parent. And parent is basically everything that holds this fragment, which is going to be constraint language constraint. Yeah. So now we can see, let's also add a little padding from the top. So it's going to be Android margin top. Let's add 20 dp. It says welcomed. Let's change it. Welcome to the random app generator app. To the random number generator app. So now that we're done with this, let's try running our app. So to run our app, we first have to set up the emulator. You can set it up by just like either emulator or plugging in your Android device and testing out there. But I don't have an Android device, so we're gonna use an emulator. So to add an emulator, what you'll have to do is go to this tab, Device Manager. Here, I already added 2 emulators. I'm gonna use this one, but to add an emulator, you can just press plus in the device manager, which will create virtual device. I would select Pixel 6 or 3, doesn't matter, it's up to you. Then you'll click next, finish, and just follow the instructions. They made it pretty easy. So to play it, you'll basically have to press play here. And it's gonna run it. So I ran into issues before where it wouldn't start. If it doesn't start, the most likely issue is that you don't have enough space on your disk. So make sure you have at least 10 gigabytes free. So now you can see with the emulator started. It's like a normal phone. You can go anywhere. Just emulates an Android phone. Let's go back, and to actually start the application, we can press run app. But we get an error. So you'll get errors in Android Studio multiple times. It's just the life of programmer. Let's see what the error says. It says in the fragment second, there's an error with resource ID text view second. So let's learn how to actually solve that kind of problems. First, obviously read the error message, and try to actually go ahead and solve yourself. Because if you actually solve yourself and not just like go to ChatGPT or Stack Overflow, it's actually gonna make you learn because you solve it yourself. So let's go to fragment second. Let's go to fragment second, right? Because it says the error here, and here we can see in the red color, we can see that it doesn't know what text view second is because we're constraining it to something that doesn't exist. So let's just delete that because for now we don't need it. Because for now we don't have any other element that we want to constrain it to. Let's save that, always save, and then let's play it again. Now you can see the error is resolved and it's launching. Now you can see the app, right? We can see everything that we typed in XML fragment first. Welcome to the random generator app. If we start application, it will go to the second fragment. And how that works, we're gonna discuss in the part 2 of this tutorial. Thank you.